Afternoon, my friends. So I just wanted to make a video today talking a little bit about the significance of self-esteem and self-worth. And a lot of the times when this discussion comes up, right, it's easy to recognize the effects that self-esteem and dignity and self-worth have on you as an individual, right? When it comes to self, we know that when self-esteem isn't present in a person, when a person doesn't feel good about themselves, then we run into things like depression. We run into things like guilt. We run into things like constant feelings of anxiety about the different situations they're in and if they can handle it or not. I think on the level of recognizing how poor self-esteem and self-worth when it comes to an individual basis, I think it's easy to recognize that. But what I want to talk about today was how poor self-esteem can affect the world around you and potentially the people that you care about as well. And I don't think that this is a discussion that I hear a lot about sometimes, because the reality is that when your self-esteem is messed up, right, when your self-worth is not there, when depression is present, things like that, you allow people and things into your life that can do harm to the things that you care about. And an example that comes to mind, right, is I do a lot of work in like the helping profession and stuff, and I talk to people about like their partners and people that they got with or whatever. And sometimes I'll talk to women and some men too, but I talk to people about like their partners, and they tell me how they met this man or woman when they were in a really like dark place in their life, when they were in a really low place. And as time went on, like they kept putting up with the negative treatment, and eventually this person ended up doing something absolutely heinous. Sometimes it was like stealing their life savings. Other times though, it was things like abusing their kids, like that sort of stuff. Things that are just like you can't come back from, and things that can make you feel guilty for potentially the rest of your life. And an analogy that I think of a lot is I don't know if you guys know a lot about like past like literature and folklore and stuff, right? But there was like that old saying that like the only way that a vampire would come into your house is if you like let it in, which is saying that like you have to let the evil in order for it to wreak havoc on your life, right? And this is exactly what happens, when we're talking about like poor self-esteem, having a low sense of self-worth and things like that. You literally allow the vampire into your home. You allow the devil into your home, and at that point it's going to wreak havoc, and not just wreak havoc on you, but wreak havoc on the things that you hold dear. So what I try to tell people to think about as well is that like if you don't care about getting better and like improving yourself and your mental health for you, think about doing it for the people that you care about. You do it so that you don't invite hell into your life. You do it so that like your kids are properly taken care of. You do it so your partner has some support and they don't feel like they're having to have the whole weight of the world on their shoulders by themselves. Like this is why we do things. Like some things go past just self, if that makes any sense. When we take proper care of ourselves, when we do the things that we need to do for self, not only does it help out how we feel, but it also impacts the world around us, and this goes for both the positive and the negative. When things are going well for us, it reflects on the world around us. Our kids do better, our partner do better, our job does better, our community does better. But also when we're not doing well, that's when things can get chaotic as well. And sometimes like
in a quarter mile at the traffic circle, take the second exit and stay on Ohio 315 north.
My bad, guys. I'm coming back from a training I had to go to for like work and everything. But no, what I was saying is that sometimes the people that you care about pay the price for your lack of self-care, like your lack of self-worth. And sometimes it's things that like you can't undo. And also something to be aware of is how when you invite these vampires, these demons into your home and everything, right? We talked about how they can wreak havoc on your life, but also the fact that they can manipulate you into wreaking havoc on your own life. You know, like when you hang around like these forces and like these evils and just like these dark places and things for so long, it has an effect on your mental. You know, like the way that you think, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you behave also gets affected by these influences that are around you. And so what can end up happening, right, is that even if that person themselves doesn't directly sabotage you, what they can do is end up messing your mind state up so bad to the point where you'll destroy yourself. You know, like everything that you created, the people that you love, everything that you hold dear. Some people can get into your head so bad to the point where they don't even have to act upon you directly anymore. You know, like they're in your head so bad that they can get you to do all those things, and all they got to do is sit back and watch. You know, something that comes to mind, right, is like things like how like cults and things like that work. You know, where cults are notorious for taking advantage of people in need. You know, people in like the lowest or like the darkest points of their life. You know, like people don't get involved in cults because like they're stupid idiots. You know, like they end up they're targeted. You know, like there are people who are going through like sometimes like grief. Maybe like they were injured, they lost somebody that was the closest person to them in their life, and now they're feeling lonely, and somebody from one of these groups came up to them with promises of like, oh, well, if you come with us, like you're gonna have a family, like everything's gonna be good, you're gonna have people that care about you, you're gonna be around like a family, you're gonna be around a community. And they feed them all this garbage, right? And it gets that person thinking, well, like, well, I don't got that right now, or maybe I've never had that, so like let me go with these guys and see what happens. And then next thing you know, man, like you're doing things that you would have never done. You know, like maybe you're hurting people, you're giving up everything that you hold dear to this person. You know, like you're worshiping things and just like, and maybe inflicting harm on self and others, because this is now where your headspace is at. You know, like your thoughts and volitions are no longer your own, and now you've been manipulated into being someone that you're completely not, all because of these vulnerabilities that were in your armor. You know, like the chinks in your armor, man. Like all it takes is one weakness to be exploited. You know, and I know that we're none of us are perfect, you know, but I think that this is just a good example, right, of the importance of having your mental in at least a stable place where you can fight off these monsters. You know, because evil doesn't always come in like the clearest form. It's not always just this outright like, oh, there's the bad guy right in front of me, I can immediately tell it was him. Like evil can be sneaky, you know, like bad things can be sneaky, and sometimes like you don't recognize it right away. And that's why it's important for you to not be ruled by like these negative emotions, you know, like to not be ruled by things like depression and anxiety, because it can truly be your undoing, either through that person directly or indirectly through the things that it makes you do to self. So that was just something I wanted to add in as well, about how these manipulations and things can come from like in an entirely different place. You know, it can be it doesn't have to be simply somebody evil walks into your life and just ups and destroys it. So that's all I really want to say. I know this is a shorter video, but I hope that it can just be something to like reflect on, you know, because it's a thought that definitely made me reflect on things, man, and think about how taking care of myself.
Exit the traffic circle onto Ohio 315 North.
Oh, we got it.
Continue on Ohio 315 North for 6 miles.
Talking, bro. So it made me just reflect on the fact that taking care of myself isn't only about myself, right? Like taking care of myself is also something that I have to do if I want the people around me to be safe and secure and to be living like the best versions of their life as well. So that being said, I always appreciate you guys listening to the videos, talking with me and everything. Yeah, have a discussion with me, man. Hit me up in the comments, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video.